by our good friend who is still alive and still breathing and still with us here, Parker Rehm. You had one heck of a weekend. We were just talking in the break, and it's not too often that both Texas A&M and Baylor are playing in a way where you can cover both. But now you have a marathon game at Texas A&M. You drive the 90 minutes to go to Baylor. Man, how are you feeling from an energy perspective?
Pretty good. Yeah, got a day's rest yesterday. I'm feeling rejuvenated. I honestly, it was crazy because you look at that comeback that Texas A&M had. Baylor fell down 14-0, and I was like, they could come back. They were down 23, and I said that's just 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. But it was not the same.
Right.
It's not the same kind of game.
Exactly. Let's chew on the Texas A&M game for a little bit because, of course, that one obviously got the country watching when they were down 27-3 and then 30-3, down 27 points, and then it started making that comeback. I feel like this game told me a lot about both teams, but probably a little bit more so about Texas A&M and being able to fend off a really good at times team at South Carolina. What did you make there of the game? Did you feel that there was a lot more disappointment about the way they started, or a lot more surprise / being pleased with the way they ended it?
Yeah, I think that obviously a lot of Aggie fans probably were pleased at the way they ended it, the first half was just almost everything went wrong for Texas A&M that could have happened and could have went wrong. 2 interceptions from Marcel Reed, then that fumble, scoop and score lateral pass that was kind of a funky play. That went wrong. The security guard getting into it with Nick Harbor.
We didn't even talk about that yesterday.
Is a bad look. I mean, quite literally, it might have been the worst look for Texas A&M that it could have been in that first half. But we see every week that Mike Elko goes in there and gives these passionate speeches at halftime. So everybody was like, "Oh, I hope Elko gives these kind of speeches for this game." And he must have given one heck of a speech because they came out like a new team in that second half.
Yeah, you're seeing some of the numbers there for Marcel Reed. I think when it comes to the Heisman Trophy, a lot of times it just ends up going to the quarterback on the best team. I feel like a moment like Saturday, the last 30 minutes he played, because if you just look at his second half, that's a great game. And for him to do that in 30 minutes is absolutely unbelievable. What do you think that it did for him from a stature standpoint? For people who might not have known, maybe known this team is good, but might not have known how good he is. What do you think this did to elevate his standing amongst college football's elites?
Yeah, I think that the whole kind of college football landscape tuned into that game because they're like, oh, this could be the biggest upset in the country this year. And once they tuned in, Marcel Reed said, "Let me show you what I'm all about." And that's kind of what we saw in that second half was he looked like a Heisman candidate and the Heisman candidate that he's been playing like all season. And I think since everybody was tuned into that game to see if Texas A&M would lose to South Carolina, they saw a lot of good Marcel Reed, whereas they might not have been tuned in for the first half, just looking at the matchup on paper. So I think he really proved a lot of people wrong that, they probably looked at that first half, the start of that game, like this is the Marcel Reed of old. He's still a young quarterback. He's still maybe not in that upper echelon of players to talk about in college football. And realistically, he is. He should be talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And he showed it in that second half. I mean, you saw the numbers right there.
Parker, it seems like there's a piece of news that has gotten lost in the shuffle of the largest comeback in program history, and that's Texas A&M inking Mike Elko to a 6-year extension. What is that? What do you make out of that? Because, I mean, we opened this hour talking about Lane Kiffin and the saga there, and it's a little interesting that he hasn't signed an extension if he really does want to stay in Ole Miss. What does that say about Elko's commitment to Texas A&M?
I think it's not only Elko's commitment, but his family's commitment to College Station as well. And they've talked about how they love Aggie Land. They want to stay in College Station, and this deal proves that. Something that I thought was really cool about this contract extension, and how about that, to have the rumors come out and then you lead them to the largest comeback in program history? I mean, it just kind of was like money well spent. But the coolest part about this deal is Elko has stipulations in the contract, sort of some bonuses if he hits certain benchmarks, like make it to the SEC title game, win the SEC title game, win a college football playoff game, make it to the national championship game. He gets paid a little bit of a bonus, like $250,000, maybe $1 million, if he hits those benchmarks. Mm-hmm. But part of this deal, he wanted his assistant coaches to also get bonuses if they hit those benchmarks, because he said they do as much of a job of coaching this team as I do. And I think that says a lot about kind of the culture that he's building in Aggie land. Is, it's not just him. He might be one of the top 10 highest paid coaches in college football, right. But he wants to make sure that his squad and his team is reflected on that success. And I think he deserves it. He's proved that he's deserved it over these past 2 years, but also there's that risk of, should we pay him this early? Mm-hmm. Obviously, Aggie fans have been wronged before. I guess that's the easiest way to put it with Jimbo Fisher. So they definitely have some PTSD there, but I think they're getting a good one with Elko.
No question about it. Anytime you have these phenomenal comebacks, I think of the Patriots against the Atlanta Falcons in the Super Bowl. I think what happened Saturday there in College Station. A lot of talk was obviously about the offense and about the special teams, but I found the defense to be tremendous as well. Shut out in the last 2 quarters of that football game. Is that the kind of performance that you want to see out of this defense as they move forward into the season? Because I think that obviously it's an old football saying that defense wins championships, but to me that was a championship performance by that defense given all that happened in the first half of that game.
They definitely turned it around. There were a few of those plays where they ran straight up the gut and no one was there to stop them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what Texas A&M fears on the defensive side, is that could happen at any given moment. But for the most part, they shored everything up past that. Towards the end of the first half, got an interception to put the Aggies in field goal range, really within the 10, and they couldn't convert. And I think that's something that could have, for a lot of these maybe average teams, taken a lot of wind out of the defense, that, hey, we got the stop, but the offense didn't deliver. But that's just not what happened. And we saw that in the second half, just absolutely nothing going on for Lenora Sellers and this Gamecocks offense. And that's something that you need to win championships. And I think if they can play like that in the second half, this Aggies team could be really, really dangerous.
Parker, everyone's talking about the comeback, but I want to flip to the first half. I mean, is there concern for Texas A&M moving forward, going down 30-3 in the first place to South Carolina?
I think when you look towards this next week, probably not with Stanford, but when you look towards the week after that in Austin, if you go down, you're not coming back if you're going down 30-3 in Austin. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that maybe they were looking a little bit ahead. Maybe they didn't take South Carolina as seriously as they should have. And, Shane Beamer was hyping up the crowd, the South Carolina fans, as he went into the halftime locker room. And then Mike Elko was hyping up the Aggie fans as he left Kyle Field on Saturday. So I think that's something that you can't really you can't look ahead on the calendar. And that's something Texas A&M definitely got caught doing. And this is an experienced team. I was surprised, and I think everybody there was surprised at the showing that they put out, given South Carolina beating them in Columbia last year. I think they talked all week about this game means a little bit more because they beat us and they sent us into that downward spiral. And then they came out in the second half and looked like the number 3 team in the country, maybe the number 1 team. I don't know.
Absolutely. We got a chance to hear from Coach Mike Elko on his QB1 in Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I'm not lost for words very much, but I was lost for words with the team in the locker room after the game. I just, a lot of that emotion was just pride in who they were, how they conducted themselves. There's not a lot of teams that have a culture and a core that will just keep going. And again, even the 80-yard pass before, it just was one after another in the first half, and to not blink and really go into the locker room and still come out in the second half and compete. And then ultimately to score 28 straight points and win a football game that ends with a 99-yard drive. There's just not a lot of words for that. It was really impressive.
So Texas A&M will get SAM, and as I know it confused Kirk
Herbstreit
a little while ago. That school of Sanford actually, my dad went there and went to Beeson Divinity School. It's in Homewood, and so I'm very familiar with the Sanford football program right there across the street from where I grew up. And then, of course, it's Texas after that.